find the results life-changing. In fact, studies have shown that long-term
says, during the trial, do not read or view anything and listen to anything about the case. Don't post anything. Once the U.S. rests, the defense can present. So they're saying defense first, prosecutors or AUSAs first, then we're going to go to defense, should he choose to. By the way, not in all cases has defenses chosen to produce or provide a response. For example, the guy who killed young Dolph, Justin Johnson, straight shooter, whatever his name is, they had, as soon as the prosecutor finished doing their case, they rested. They said, we don't have a defense. There's no defense needed. We did our cross on their case. We don't want to put nothing else into the air. Of course, that nigga got found guilty. Okay, life. Anyway, so I think that's a bad strategy, but I'm giving my opinion. Right? Let's stick with the facts. AUSA Johnson says this is Sean Combs. So this is now, it appears, opening statements, because now we're finally hearing AUSA speak. Right? This is the prosecutor. Now, interestingly enough, Maureen Comey, who's, again, daughter of James Comey, former FBI director, she's not going first. I thought with all the, she was really heavy in jury selection. So is Mark Agnifilio. I thought she was the lead. We heard she was the lead, but we're now hearing AUSA Johnson, which is somebody else. Let's look up that person. AUSA Johnson Diddy. By the way, it's important for us to get a look at these people. So this is Emily Johnson, AUSA Emily Johnson. AUSA Emily Johnson. This is the person who's speaking first, and this is her right here. Okay, so she's the one who's speaking first. And by the way, Maureen Comey, this is her right here. So this is James Comey's daughter. And then the other one, AUSA Emily Johnson, is her. So you see two of the 6 white women who are going to be doing their thing. All right. So let's go. It says, this is Sean Combs. To the public, he's a cultural icon, a businessman, larger than life. Sorry, let me make sure I can see it. This is Sean Combs. To the public, he's a cultural icon, they say was. He was a cultural icon, businessman, larger than life. But there was another side to him. You will hear about the 20 years of defendant's crimes. He had a team to help him. Kidnapping, arson, drugs, sex crimes. Let's start with one night. By the way, there's going to be some typos. He's typing quickly, or somebody's typing quickly. Maybe it's AI. I don't know. He was on the hunt for his girlfriend, Cassie. He forced her to have sex with male escorts while he watched and recorded it. He found out Cassie was seeing another man. Furious, he set out to find Cassie and the other man. He woke up an employee, drove to his house, but no one was there. The defendant didn't give up. He kept looking for Cassie. When he found her, he beat her brutally, kicking her in the back and flinging her around like a rag doll, but that wasn't enough. He told Cassie he could release a video of her having sex with male escorts. He broke into a man's house and he beat and blackmailed his girlfriend. These are not his only crimes. Cassie's not the only one he beat and sexually exploited. 20 years of crime. He had a business, Bad Boy Records. That made him right. He relied on his bodyguards, chief of staffs. By the way, when you hear chiefs of staff, you know the person who they call is Ghislaine. That's a person named KK, which is Quran. I forgot what her name is. So his last chief of staff was Quran Diddy. Fuck, I'm fucking up the name. Yeah, see? Christina Karam, former chief of staff. By the way, if you remember her when Diddy was going through all this shit, she was pictured with him sitting on Star Island while he was looking dumb stressed. Here we go. And apparently she's like the Ghislaine Maxwell. She's been helping him out with a lot of shit. By the way, we've seen her. I don't know if she showed up to court, but yeah, remember when he was looking stressed right here? She was sitting right next to him looking like she just woke up too. So I don't know if she giving him the pussy and she's just the chief of staff, whatever. But she looked like she's locked in with him where she was, all right, Sean, let's get through this. But she looked like she's a loyal one for Diddy. And probably the one that if she ever turned on Diddy, it's raps, right? So this is another picture. Look like she's there. Look, Diddy look fucking stressed as a motherfucker. She's, you want a mimosa? You want a back rub? You want your balls tickled? Whatever. You know what I mean? It is what it is, right? She's on her phone. Diddy was like, look, Diddy's in a fetal position. She's on her phone. She making sure shit happens. She got to help this motherfucker out, right? Again, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, bet. So we now hear that the prosecutors are saying chief of staffs have been involved in this, right? It says His bodyguards, chief of staffs, who all ran aspects of his life. The group promoted his power. Only his bodyguards kidnapped an employee and set a car on fire, dangled a person. They delivered drugs whenever he said, including to a woman he forced to have sex. Including to a woman he forced to have sex with, an escort. He transported them across state lines, even out of the country. Let me be very clear. This case is not about a celebrity's private sexual preferences. This was criminal. He coerced and even used violence. Along the trial, it will focus on two women, Cassie and Jane. Now, we all know Cassie. Her name is used. The other victim's name supposedly won't be used. Jane. Who is Jane? From what I've been told, lightly, I haven't gotten into it yet. We'll figure out who it is by basically what they're saying, because we are going to hear what they're saying or see what they're saying. We won't know who they are. I hear Jane Doe is either one or two people. Remember the girl Gina? The girl who basically went on Tasha and said that he forced me to do after the abortion. He put his hands on me. It's either her or remember the chef that sued Diddy long ago saying Diddy was jerking off or whatever when she came to serve him food? Chef Diddy. Former chef for Diddy alleges long-standing abuse, blah, blah, blah. So this is either this person or it's Gina Diddy abuse. I remember she did the interview with Tasha K. Remember this woman?
Child was, and then he
So either one of them, that's Jane Doe. So we could probably surmise at this point, but we're jumping ahead of the gun. We're gonna find out shortly anyway. But that's victim two. That's victim two. By the way, keep in mind, there's two strong victims. The other victims might not even show up to court. One of the victims, supposedly victim 5 or 4, won't be there at all because they said they can't contact that person no more. Some people feel like they may have got paid off. Who knows? So the main witnesses, there's no Little Rod, none of that shit, none of the people that Tony Busby got. We got Cassie and either this woman or the chef. We're going to figure out who Jane Doe is in a short bit. So let's keep it going, chat. Are y'all here with me? Y'all rocking?
Meet the new standard in sleep. This is Pod 4 Ultra. It's not a bed, it's a revolution in the sleep game. Crafted for those who demand nothing but peak performance from every aspect of life, including sleep. It cools, it heats, it elevates. And it's clinically proven to give you up to 1 hour more of quality sleep per night. Pod 4 Ultra redefines sleep tech with a new hub that doubles its cooling power. Heat wave? No problem. Pod 4 Ultra can drop its temperature up to 20 degrees below room temperature to keep you cool or warm regardless of the weather. Dual zones? Of course. You and your partner dictate your sleep climates independently. Pod 4 Ultra combines luxury and technology, featuring a fully redesigned clinical-grade sensor layer that tracks vitals unnoticeably, all while enhancing your bed's comfort. It's powerful yet undetectable, and it reaches 99% tracking accuracy, so you can leave your wearables on the nightstand. Just add it easily onto any bed. Plus, introducing a new base to the Pod ecosystem. Fitting between your mattress and bed frame, the base adds reading and sleeping positions for the best unwinding experience. And for those snore-heavy nights, the Pod's got your back, lifting you automatically just enough to keep the air flowing when snoring is detected. Clinically proven to reduce snoring by up to 45%. Enter Autopilot, the brain behind the Pod, an algorithm that improves your sleep by analyzing your health and sleep metrics in real time with the knowledge of over 1 million nights of data. It tailors your temperature and elevation automatically, without you having to lift a finger, and in the morning, rise and shine on your terms with a vibration and thermal alarm that's gentle and effective. But that's not all. Pod 4 Ultra introduces a remarkable innovation that combines hardware and software so you can finally leave your phone outside your bedroom. Say hello to Tap to Control. Tap to cool down. Tap to warm up. Tap to elevate. No screens, no blue light. Welcome to the era of Pod 4 Ultra. You've never slept on anything like it.
I got to do a little wellness check on y'all sometimes. Y'all good? We got 11,000 strong on King Academics right now. 5,000 strong on the Academy. We got 20,000 people up in here. Bright and early, first day. Okay, let's get to it. So, it says, here we go. So we're going to focus on two women. So they're outlining their plan. We're going to focus on two women, Cassie and Jane. We will show that the defendant lied, used lies, drugs, threats of violence to force them to have sex with him in front of male escorts. He called them freak-offs Wild King Nights or Hotel Nights. His staff organized flights, cars, hotels. At his direction, his staff set up the rooms with lubricant and lighting. Ooh, lighting? What the fuck? What type of freak ass nigga shit is this? Chat, what type of lighting do you bring to the freak off? What lighting do you bring to the freak off? Now, we're going to see, by the way, remember we heard this whole thing about baby oil? I've always said, listen, not TMI, but come on, we all grown, y'all have sex too. Baby oil is some cheap nigga lubricant, right? Like, I can't imagine a billionaire using baby oil as sex lubricant. That's some cheap shit, right? Just go get KY or something. So we're going to figure out what the fuck the baby oil was for. It could be for some performance thing. We're going to get to all the details. The only thing we won't see is the videos they're going to show in court. By the way, we haven't heard about necessarily how they're going to treat videos. If maybe they'll say, hey, this is a sensitive thing that showcases a victim being sexually assaulted. Let's clear the courtroom. Everybody get out of here except the jurors. The jurors are going to have to see everything. You know, jurors in cases, even when it's murder cases, you're going to have to see the body. Like, it is what it is if that's part of the evidence, right? They have a bunch of tapes where supposedly are freak-offs. They're going to have to watch them. Will the gallery and press and everybody else be able to watch them? I don't know. That's going to be a matter of privacy, security, and everything else. Obviously, if you're trying to prosecute a criminal case and you claim these people are victims, you don't even want their name to be used. Granted, nobody, I don't think, will be stupid enough to record or try to sneak out a phone and record in federal court, but we've seen that type of dumb shit already. There was a video 6ix9ine testifying. There was a video of 6ix9ine testifying, which should have never been allowed. This was 6ix9ine on the stand here, and people were very surprised that video ever came out. By the way, that after that video came out, the judge scolded everybody in the court, and there was a lot of other shit that came out. Anyway, let's get back to it. So cool.
Now we got to go help people customize and save hundreds with Liberty Mutual. Maybe where's the golf cart? There it is.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Do you want to see how much money you're eligible for? If you were in a car crash within the last 2 years, that was not your fault. You could have money coming. The truth is, insurance companies make the claims process as difficult as possible so you get frustrated and make the first deal they offer. Many people settle for a $5,000 check when they should have received $30,000 minimum just because they wanted to return to their normal lives as soon as possible. But what if you could get a generous settlement without dealing with insurance at all? In the next 30 seconds, you're going to find out how to get the best representation with no upfront cost, how to get the most money out of insurance companies without dealing with tedious adjusters or going to court. And most importantly, you'll find out how much compensation you're entitled to, even if your accident happened nearly 2 years ago. You could be sitting on a 10K plus gold mine right now.
All right, so at the direction of his staff, they set up lubricant and lighting. The staff came in with cash to pay the escorts and drugs, okay? He made them take MDMA or Molly and ecstasy, and it made them sick but also sexually aroused. He directed every step. By the way, also, according to a lot of the criminal complaints, or the civil complaints, I should say, we heard a lot of allegations that there were, we heard a lot of allegations of the date rape drug. It's called Rufinol, right? Rufinol. Because remember, all the civil cases had this pattern. Oh yeah, I went there, I took one drink, I almost fell asleep, and I woke up and there's 5 niggas fucking me, right? Rufinol. I don't know how to spell it. Oh yeah, this is how it's spelled. It's spelled Rufinol, right? It's a trademark name for whatever, but it's known colloquially as the date rape drug. So we're gonna find out if the prosecutors do have any type of proof that Diddy was using anything to drug women. Now, granted, we're not here to defend Diddy. We're only here to go over facts. What we have heard, even through, maybe a few minutes of opening statements, did Diddy provide drugs? Yes. Was it the drugs that people expected? We don't know. Did he use something that was out of the ordinary to get somebody in an induced, sedated state that they could be taken advantage of? We haven't seen proof of that yet. However, there's about 80 complaints that claim they had a way to put it in the Ciroc, to put it in whatever. Again, we're at trial. The prosecutors can't come with theories. They got to come with what they could prove. So we're going to hear if we hear anything about date rape drug. So when you hear drug, You got to imagine it's the Molly, it's the fucking pink cocaine, whatever they be snorting and all that bullshit. I'm not hearing date rape drug yet, right? But we'll find out later. Okay, cool. So he expected the women to appear to enjoy themselves. That's very important that they're actually saying this. And by the way, I'm sorry I'm ad-libbing all of this, but we got to be very laborious. It's gonna we're reading tweets here. You know why I think they say that? Because there's gonna be a video where Cassie's probably squirting like a motherfucker, like laughing like it's going out of style, like she's having fun and she's having complete ecstasy while this freak off is happening, and she looks like she's into it. And that's why they're throwing this in early to say he expected them to appear to enjoy themselves. Because what they're going to say, despite whatever videos that will exist of these things happening, these women were not enjoying it. They were being abused. That's why I think they put that in. He masturbated and recorded the events. Cassie was 19 with the hit song. Says Cassie tried to work on her music, but a defendant made her turn down many opportunities. She recorded, but then he had the final say over the music she released. There was never another album. Sorry, hold on. He hit Cassie in the head and drug her by the hair. Now, that's clearly addressed in that 2016 video. We've all seen it. We're going to pull up a lot of old shit you guys have seen, but we want to make sure we're all staying on track. Cassie, Diddy, Hotel. This is the video they're clearly referencing.
Disturbing.
They're referencing now, which is this video right here. Hit her in the head, drug her, all that type of stuff. Right? By the way, trigger warning. I know, see, here's it. Oh shit, y'all couldn't see. I'm sorry. Not trying to see. Hit her, bang, and then he drags her. So they're mentioning that video, which by the way was not excluded if you didn't know. In pretrial, the judge did not agree that that video tainted the jury pool and should not be allowed. Anyway, let's keep it going. So it says, so there was never another album. He hit Cassie in the head and drug her by the hair. He stomped on her face in an SUV, then made her stay in a hotel for a week to hide her injuries. He set up freak-offs as often as once a week. She spent half of her time. The defendant made an escort urinate in her mouth. Wow. First explosive detail. Diddy made an escort urinate in Cassie's mouth. When Cassie get on that stand, y'all, she fully pregnant. When she start crying, I don't care even if you see the video and she's like, nah, bring both of y'all dicks over here. I want to suck them at the same time. It don't matter what she says. When you see a woman crying and say, yo, he let a nigga pee in my mouth, bro, that's going to sound crazy. Because, again, the kinkiness that, and by the way, maybe that's their kink. But that just sounds crazy because regular people don't have escorts pee in the love of your life's mouth. Like, I don't care if you're a cook or whatever. That's not normal. That ain't normal. So when she starts crying and recounting these things, and you know it's going to happen, she's taking a stand. Yo, he told me we were role playing to pretend that I was in Dubai, and he let this escort just shit on my stomach. Oh my God, it's going to be hell, bro. He made an escort pee in her mouth. Okay, cool. Says you will see in his trial, he beat her in the hallway of a hotel. By the way, they're referencing the 2016 video again. Then dragged her back into the freak-off. Okay, initially she wanted to make him happy. So now they're positioning this to say she was a young girl, wanted to make it in the industry. She didn't have much money. This guy has a lot of power, of money, fame, everything that she probably desires as well in life. And he has this control over her that is probably monetarily, not only physically, but all these things. And she was trying to make him happy, but all he did was use that as a way to abuse her.
I often joke that I'm retired, but in reality, it's just that I get to live my dream of being a full-time DJ. And that's because of my amazing business partner, Honeybook. Honeybook takes care of all the administrative work that I don't want to do so that I can get back to my passion. Honeybook makes it look like I'm a team of 10 when it's really just me in the background. Plus, Honeybook AI is woven all throughout the platform.
Cool. The consequences were severe. He said he beat her when he thought she took too long in the bathroom. Defying him would ended violence. She fled, but he found her with the help of his inner circle. Cassie's career was in his hands. He told her he could destroy her career by releasing a video. When he said to have a freak off, she knew she had no choice. She called the escort. So that's another thing they're saying. They're admitting in opening that Cassie was the main person to call the escort. Because that's going to be Diddy's defense and say, yo, How's she a victim? She hired all the guys. So they're making it known now she was forced to call the escorts. And by the way, I think that's a decent point and a pretty easy point that the AUSA could get over. I'm going to tell you why. They're going to say Diddy's too famous. Diddy would have her do his dirty work or other people do his dirty work. Diddy wasn't going to be like, hey, bro, is your cock throbbing again? Come back over and piss in Cassie's mouth and dick her down while I jerk off to you dicking her down. He would have her make the call, even though these people, if they're regulars, would probably know what it is. Okay, cool. She called the escort to put on a performance that he wanted. So they're dressing this up as this is some freaky-ass nigga performance. He said her safety depended on keeping him happy. The relationship was complicated. Both were unfaithful, but only one of them had power. So they're giving certain amends here. They're saying, oh, well, okay. What they're playing counter chess. Yo, we know Diddy's team is going to go up there and say, hey, we had two people who were in a very toxic relationship. They both put their hands on each other. But at the end of the day, these allegations only came around after she left Diddy for the trainer because she was cheating. Okay? And after she is with the broke-ass nigga, now she wanted to sue, and that's where the government picked up on that lawsuit and turned it into a Fed case. That's going to be the argument of Diddy. Say, yo, she was cheating, and I left her ass for cheating. Now she's suing. Why didn't she raise all these points while I was with her? So they're admitting. They're giving it up. They said Cassie was cheating too. And again, this is going to show their strategy. He said, but only one of them had power. They're saying, listen, it's not about cheating. It's about who had the power. So he made Cassie do his bidding in those dark hotel rooms. Cassie was not the only one. This was a pattern. Let me tell you about Jane. She was a single mom that started spending time with him in 2020. She fell in love with him. He was seeing other women. Let's see if this is Gina Hugh. I think this might be Gina Hugh. Gina, let's look at the interview. Let me go back to the full interview, and I think this interview is going to. This is part one. Cool. Here we go. Here we go.
And Diddy.
So if she met her, if she says in this interview I met him in 2020, it's her. Remember, she was right before Young Miami, right? By the way, we have no clue if Young Miami is going to be a part of this case, listed as a victim, witness, or has been subpoenaed. She probably did get subpoenaed maybe in a grand jury setting, or she at least talked to the cops. Like, we got to be realistic here. We're not going to do the whack 100 like, oh, yeah, the feds are investigating the whole thing, and they didn't talk to you. Now, they definitely talked to Young Miami. That's a fact.
Nothing really transpired during that meeting in Miami.
No.
Okay.
Nothing.
So,
no. In Vegas.
In Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay. So he was trying to holler in Vegas.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. So I want you to be patient with her. Once I get it, it's over.
Yeah.
So, all right. So I want to start from the beginning, okay? Because we discussed a lot over the phone. Mm-hmm. Some very, very intimate details and things that just kind of made me go, wow. Okay. About the specifics of you and Diddy's relationship. So I want to start from the beginning, okay?
Okay.
How long have you known Diddy?
I've known him for 5 years.
5 years.
Yes.
Okay, this might not be her then, because this interview was 5 years ago, and she said she knew him for 5 years, so that would be 10 years ago. That would be 2015. Okay, we don't want to sidetrack. Let's stay on the court shit. She said she started spending time with him in 2020. Doesn't mean when they first met. She fell in love with him. He was seeing other women. One night he told Jane about the freak offs and made it happen immediately. He took her to a hotel where escort was on the way. He directed her step by step. Jane thought it was a one-time wild night. She was wrong. He continued offering a real relationship. Jane wanted the escort to wear condoms, but the defendant did not let them. Jane tried to make it through the night without drugs. The first time she broke down and took ecstasy to finish. Another time she vomited, but he said, go do it again. Jane found two men and invited them to join the freak offs. Thought she wasn't with it. Whatever. So she could choose them. Okay, so she said she ended up start picking the guys because Diddy was just picking whoever. And if she got to do this, she would rather pick the dudes. The defendant discouraged her from working. He had the power to coerce her back into the hotel rooms. He threatened her with the videos. Not even a year ago, he went to her house. Ooh, wow. She was angry. She hit him. So they're admitting that some of these people have been violent with Diddy. He became enraged. She tried to hide. She locked herself in the bedroom. He kicked it open, then the bathroom, the closet, the guest bedroom. He kicked her to the ground. He did not let Jane be. He said, you're not going to fuck up my night. He said, call up an escort and perform. Jane followed his instructions. His violence got him what he wanted. Cassie will tell you about the time the defendant forces himself on her. The AUSA. Mia, Mia. And employees will tell you how the defendant forces him on her, hand up her dress, penetrating her amidst all this violence. He and his inner circle worked to cover up his crimes. The video at the LA hotel, you will hear how just far it went. The defendant offered the hotel security a wad of cash in a brown paper bag with $100,000 in $100 bills. The inner circle kept Cassie in hiding for days. For all of this, he's charged with multiple federal crimes, racketeering, conspiracy. Cassie and Jane will tell you about the most painful experiences of their lives. You'll hear from some of the defendant's employers, including his personal assistant, Mia. Oh my God. So his personal assistant flipped on him. Now we're getting the tea. Sorry for saying that. Sounds gay, right? Mia Diddy. Who's that? Mia? No, not MIA. No, not MIA. Personal assistant MIA.
You've probably heard about Boxable's flagship product, the Casita.
Come on in. Because this is so tall, it gives you a tremendous sense of space.
So everyone loved the look and feel of the Boxable Casita. Now, we're excited to announce that we're entering phase 2 of the company. That includes single-family houses, apartments, townhouses, and pretty much most residential buildings. We'll take a walk through here and you'll kind of understand what the vibe might be like for a phase 2 Boxable product. We're in a regular house. You can walk through this living room area and then all of a sudden you're in 2 bedrooms. And then we have the connected bathroom here. The system consists of room modules that connect and stack together. The basic DNA of Boxable. Behind me here, we have one of the products that I'm really excited with, and we're calling it the Baby Box. And the idea was to get the lowest cost housing solution possible.
Oh, let's go in. Come on. Come on, then.
Oh. Okay, we'll figure out who that is in a second. Give me a second. So his personal assistant, who he sexually assaulted, she's grappling with it. You will hear from the employees he forced into the SUV with a gun from a chef. That's the chef, by the way, I was telling you about. Remember the chef? The chef that worked there. They were working punishing hours at times without sleep. They bought drugs from him. They were expected to keep quiet. Some of these witnesses have already received settlements. Ooh, Diddy has cut settlements. Obviously to Cassie, but clearly to other people. Actually, I think the chef got settlements too. Chef Diddy settlement. I think there was a settlement as well. Yep, they settled. Yep. Diddy's former personal chef settles work claim suit. Ooh, okay. We're getting into it, y'all. So it says, they're expecting some of these witnesses, and remember they say witnesses, not victims. So the chef would be a witness, not a victim. AUSA also says, you'll hear from some of the escorts. Ooh, the escorts are popping in. That the defendant directed them and filmed it. By the way, this was probably a proffer session with the AUSAs and the escorts to say, hey, this sex act was actually a crime. You could be culpable of it. However, if you cooperate, we will take the idea that you were a work for hire or you might be a victim yourself because you were just doing what you were told and you were being told to necessarily create. Because think about this. If these women are saying they didn't want to do it and the escorts are the ones fucking them or peeing in their mouth or whatever the case is, the escorts are doing a crime. However, look like the AUSAs and the U.S. government's, their perspective is saying, okay, you were only doing this at the direction of this person, and for what you knew, it was all consensual. All right, cool. You'll hear from some of these escorts that the defendant directed them and filmed it. An escort saw Diddy assault Cassie and drag her by the face during a freak-off. You'll see records from hotel, the damage, and the car services. You'll see the text message in which the defendant tells the staff to bring cash for escorts by Jane saying she didn't want, and by Jane saying she didn't want to do the freak-offs. You'll see videos, and then you'll hear the defendant provide direction to Cassie and Jane, high on ecstasy. So clearly there's going to be video shown of the freak-offs where Diddy's saying, yo, Cassie, swallow that piss real quick. Swallow that piss. Take like whatever. Where clearly Diddy is behind the scenes orchestrating and giving directions, which kind of helps out Cassie's case or Cassie's theory or her side to say, I didn't want to do this. This nigga was telling me what to do and I was doing it. So even if I look like I'm having fun, I'm looking like I'm having fun because he wanted me to appear like I'm enjoying it. But I never really want to do this shit. I bet. You'll see a video of the defendant brutally beating Cassie during a freak-off in an LA hotel. You'll see photos of the damage, including four doors in Jane's home not even a year ago. Who is Jane? Chat, do we have an idea who Jane is? Do we have an idea who Jane is, chat? Wow. Because he says as last year. So that's 2024. Who is Jane? Now, this is Jane Doe 1. If we don't expect there to be other witnesses or victims that's going to be testifying. So the other three, they're going to be named, maybe a statement that they whatever, but they're not going to be testifying supposedly. That's going to be interesting too because they're going to have to explain to the judge if you have 4 or 5 victims, why they ain't here, why is only 2. So that's going to have to be explained. They already brought it up in pretrial that one of the victims have gone ghost, which we all know.
JetBlue makes your fare fly further. With low prices, fast free Wi-Fi.
What probably happened there? Who the hell is Jane? Somebody says Young Miami. I can't imagine it's her. Even though it would line up. It would line up. I would think she wouldn't be a part of this because I know, by the way, sex crimes and there is no thing as snitching when it comes to sex crimes and domestic violence and shit like that. At least when I look at shit like that, snitching is for like y'all hardened criminals that do murders and shit like that. But I would think Young Miami don't want to be a part of this case. It felt like she never wanted to be a part of this case at all. But we'll see. Somebody said Mia, aka Miami. No. Mia is someone else, right? As a personal assistant. Anyway, let's see. You will see the agreement with the hotel guard barring him from speaking after he got paid $100,000 for the video. You'll hear him manipulate Jane into saying she wanted it. His threats to not pay for her home and text to his staff about it. Ooh, so Jane, he was paying for her home and he was telling the staff, I'm not paying for this shit if he doesn't get his way. He says, I actually do 3 things. Pay attention to the evidence, follow the judge's instruction on the law, use your common sense, and you'll reach a verdict that Sean Combs is guilty. The judge now says, who is going to speak for the defense? Interestingly enough, and this is a great strategy. This had to be a hell of a pregame strategy, right? Think about the Super Bowl. This pregame strategy probably is just as important as like your heads or tails or, are we going to go with a run first strategy or a pass first strategy? So the strategy here is, even though Mark Agnafilio is the lead, they're going with the woman who is a second or co-lead. She's going to be doing the intro. Again, remember, woman speaking up on you not being an abuser to woman or a predator woman on face value looks better. By the way, I heard that Tenny's an amazing attorney, just to give her props as well. So Tenny says, this case is about love, jealousy, and money. They're trying to turn it into a racketeering case. It won't work. You're the jury. You will evaluate the witnesses and finally, the story can come out. This case ain't what you heard on the news. Sean Combs is fascinating. He grew up in Harlem. He built a lawful business. He worked for it. Created a culture, produced music. Produced music that changed a generation. Witnesses will share with you that he's a fascinating person. So basically, you could tell they're announcing they got some character witnesses. Like, did he change my life? You know what I mean? Blah, blah. It's so good people, right? Witnesses will share you that he's a fascinating person. People are drawn to him. If you wanted to climb in music, apparel, or beverages, you wanted to be around Sean Combs. He gave people opportunities to work at his companies. He had a vision that only a few had. The witnesses mostly loved him. The text messages will show that. He's 55 years old. He's going to be Sean Combs. I'm Tenny Garagos. I'm honored to represent him. The only people in this court who will tell you about the racketeering are the prosecutors. Look at them. There's no goddamn conspiracy. This case is about Sean Combs' private sex life. The government has no business in that. These hard-working individuals were educated from Harvard to Howard. He has a temper. He got violent sometimes. He did. He's not proud of that, and we own it. So they're admitting Diddy does have a temper and has gotten violent. He sometimes gets so jealous or angry, he is out of control. You'll hear that he lied to his girlfriends. You may think he's a jerk, he's mean, but he's not being tried for that. He's being tried for running a racketeering enterprises. This is about domestic violence. Now, the AUSA comes in and says, domestic violence is not sex trafficking, okay? He's been charged with, so by the way, it looks like they may have, either objected or somehow I don't know how the AUSA jumped in, but whatever. So basically, I guess since Tenney says this is about domestic violence, the AUSA wants to correct it because even though it's usually in opening and closing statements, you allow those people to kind of do more of a narrative type rant, but you can't have them say fake shit. You know what I mean? So the AUSA says, whoa, domestic violence ain't sex trafficking. Had he been charged with domestic violence, we would not be sitting through an 8-week trial. Ooh, so it looked like it's scheduled to go through 8 weeks. He's not guilty of these crimes. As the trial goes, never mind. I think, no, never mind. This was Tenney. Looked like he forgot to edit. This was Tenney. Okay, so this is Tenney. I don't know why he says AUSA. This is Tenney. So he made a mistake. He said it on the next one. Tenney, not AUSA. So this is Tenney. It says domestic violence is not sex trafficking. Had he been, so essentially what they're trying to say is if Diddy was guilty of anything, he's guilty of domestic violence. He put his hand on his girl. But is he guilty of sex trafficking? No. He said had he been charged with domestic violence, we would not be sitting through an 8-week trial. Basically almost saying if they had charged him with domestic violence, we would have just pled guilty and took a plea. But y'all are charging him with something else. Y'all charging him with sex trafficking. And they don't believe he's guilty of sex trafficking. He says he's not guilty of these crimes. As the trial goes on, we're going to take on accountability. We will not shy away. Tenney also says,
You don't need Mike wasting time on admin and accounting work. And you definitely don't need this. What you need is this. Because Service Trade helps your entire business.
Sean Combs had a little bit of a different sex life. The alleged victims were all getting something from him. They're all adults. They too must take responsibility for their lives, as he does for his. A free choice has pros and cons. You will evaluate these women. They made free choice every day for years. Ask yourself, what are all the ways this individual had the ability to make these choices? Ask, what's this person getting? Something they want? It may differ. Jealousy drove choices of the victims. Combs never married, but he's a many-woman man. He was always in multiple relationships. He was not always honest. It drove a primal jealousy. Sean Combs is extremely jealous as well. You might think it's hypocritical. They remain in multi-year relationships with him. These women were in love with him. Infidelity and jealousy drove the violence. Alcohol, drugs drove things. But he is not a racketeer. This case is about his relationship with Cassie and Jane. You will hear about the swinger parties. They'll testify about things that they really should never be heard in a federal courtroom. I mean, that he liked to watch. Okay. You may not like that, but you're not here to judge him for his sexual preference. A wealthy rapper paid for these women homes and vacations. He's not charged with being a flawed individual. These women fought to be in a relationship with him. Cassie, I expect you'll hear from her. This is going to be about the 11-year relationship. Combs with Kim Porter, the mother of his 4 kids, he continued with her until death from pneumonia in 2018. He fights with Cassie. The fights were about cheating. This was a toxic relationship. They loved each other, though. Cassie will tell you about how the jealousy of Kim Porter, then Gina. See, now we're hearing about Gina. So maybe it is Gina. I don't know. We don't know yet, though. It might not be Gina because, technically there should be an objection here. If you're saying the name of Jane Doe, you shouldn't say her name, period. The day of the hotel hallway, jealousy was on display. Violence by the elevator bank 10 years ago. You will see it later today. What Combs did in that video is indefensible. The video was not evidence of sex trafficking. Cassie walked out the hotel room with 2 bags. Combs comes down wearing only a towel. He stomps her, drags her by the hoodie. He comes back around to get a phone. What causes a fight about a phone? Phone keeps secrets of infidelity. As soon as he gets the phone, he sits down. He's visibly disgusted. Cassie calls the security. You'll hear from him later today. The guard tells him to leave the public area. You will see Cassie tell him to get back into the hotel room. They stay together for 2 more years after the incident. Even in 2018, they're fighting to stay together. She saw a photo of Diddy with Gina, and he started with her in 2014. Ooh, never mind. Gina might be the person. Looked like he started fucking Gina in 2014, which would make 5 years before the video we were just seeing. Remember I told you there was 10 years? 2014? We'll see. Cassie had a choice every single day to stay with him. That was her better choice until she broke up with him. She wasn't coerced. When she left, there were no repercussions. She ran into the arms of a physical trainer that Combs hired to train her. The only freak-offs you will see at this trial were on her phone, not his. So damn, it looked like Cassie kept the videos of the freak-off. That's kind of odd. That is odd. Why would Cassie have the videos, not Diddy? Maybe she could have been saving them, saying, when I get broke later on, I'm coming for that bread, nigga. I got the freak-off videos here. Fuck that. Anyway, remember in her lawsuit, she was saying he would threaten with me with releasing them. Why would she still have it? Anyway, I digress. In November of 2018, Kim Porter passes away from pneumonia. Cassie did everything to be there for him. She flew to Georgia amidst a breakup. She flew to be with him. Combs says Kim was my soulmate. The end of the relationship with Combs and Cassie was triggered by that. Oh, shit. So now we know. Looked like when Diddy admitted that, I think he said that in Diddy, Kim Porter. It was an Instagram post, soulmate. He admitted. It was an Instagram post where he said she was his soulmate. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, my God. Atlanta Constitution, what's up with you? And trying to get me to pay for ads. I think this was it. Oh, okay, that post, yeah. Today I'm going to pay tribute to you. I'm going to try to find the words to explain our unexplainable relationship, but he did call her his soulmate eventually. Yeah. We were more than best friends. Yeah, we were more than best friends. We were soulmates. Wow. Wow, okay.
Today at Denny's, buy one Slam and get a second one for only $1. Order the original Grand Slam or the All-American Slam and get another.
So now we're finding out Cassie was like, damn, you still in love with that chick? All right, I'm good, bro. Like, yo, what the fuck? All right. Cassie realized all the things she would, okay. The end of the relationship with Combs and Cassie was triggered by that. Cassie realized all the things she would not be. She wanted to be Combs' wife, the love of his life. She spent 11 years trying to get that. Cassie married the trainer and is pregnant with her third child. Evaluate Combs' intent at the time. For those 11 years, the messages will show she was a willing participant of their sex life. Cassie's testimony this week can't change that. In 2020 with Jane, Combs was more upfront. He told her he was dating other women. She was still jealous. Jane wanted it public. He proposed a consensual threesome. They went to a private hotel. I expect to say she enjoyed it. You see why they got the woman doing you got to have a woman giving this type of intro. Because if there's a guy saying this, like, oh, this bitch enjoyed it. Yeah, he wasn't shit, but come on. Shit was kind of cool. You got to have Tenny do this. So Tenny, you're getting your money's worth out of Tenny right now. Tenny says, Jane was so desperate to be with him, to give him things others couldn't, she tried to make it more than sexual. I'm not even sure how she'll put it. But it always came back to the parties in the hotel rooms. This was their time together. Jane did it for the cuddle. Well, there might be a typo. Did it for whatever. She wanted to make him happy. She was unable to resist him emotionally. There was a phone call in November 2023. Even after she flew out to see him many more times. It was toxic, but she was willing. Being a willing participant in your sex life is not sex trafficking. If she walked away, she would have lost him. You will see her jealousy. She would see him on social media with another woman and she would send messages of regret. It's not coerced. She was driven to try to be in first place. This was the way to try to get there. This is not a crime. There was a night a year ago when Jane hit Combs. It was born out of jealousy. He hit her back. She was overcome by jealousy. She slammed his head. She slammed his head onto the kitchen counter. Months later, she flew to see him and invited an escort. She will call it one of her best nights, a wild king night, whatever you want to call it. So they must be referencing some text messages, honestly. So they're kind of giving intent to say, if she get up there and says she never liked that, we're going to show the text message. Bitch, didn't you say last night was a really lit wild king night or whatever they want to call it? This will be hard to watch. There are one word, intimate. The government told you about somebody named Mia. Why are they making these allegations now? you'll conclude that everyone has a motive. With Mia, she's never said this before, nor when she first started cooperating with the government. If this was so hostile, why none of these bitches ain't called the police? Why none of these hoes ain't called the fucking police, man? They're vindictive. Their motive is simple. Money. Cassie filed a public lawsuit in 2023. She was living with her parents in a modest home in Connecticut. Then she went to a civil lawyer. The civil lawyer is here today. Ooh, you know who that civil lawyer is? That's Douglas Cassie lawyer. Wow. Cassie lawyer. It's Meredith, who is at Wigder LLP, which I think is, where's the Douglas shit? Whatever. Anyway, so that's Cassie's lawyer. Actually, a really good lawyer, too. Really good fucking lawyer for civil cases, right? They don't do the Tony Busby and Tyrone Blackburn bullshit. Like, that's why they got paid. Okay, here we go. They went to civil lawyers to make a money grab. Cassie demanded $30 million. Another asked for $22 million. How many millions of reasons do these witnesses have to lie? The evidence will not make out the charges. Oh, on bribery. So some other woman was asking for 22. I'm guessing that's Jane. On bribery. This is about the Intercontinental Hotel. He did pay a security to make the footage go away. That was solely to prevent bad publicity, not to prevent a case. There was no law enforcement investigation. So they're essentially saying, yeah, he paid for the footage to go away, but that's a PR move. That's not to hinder an investigation, which technically would be obstruction of justice in all 50 states and definitely federally. But there was no law enforcement investigation because she didn't even go to the police and nobody reported it. The kidnapping related to an employee. She worked for him for 10 years. She asked to work for him again. Drug trafficking? Oh, hell nah. Did he just love drugs? He wasn't moving the shit around like Pablo Escobar. They worked hard. They were there to do something great and novel. Everything was free choice. There ain't no goddamn conspiracy. He was paying different men for their time and experience. Porn actors get paid. Hulkamania. Cowboys for Angels. You could pay money for time and experience. That's all Sean Combs was doing.
Wake up, rested.
You're not here to impose your morality on this man. If he like freak offs, he like his girl getting piss in her mouth. If he like that type of shit, that's his kink. If you listen, you'll find him not guilty of these crimes. Thank you. Opening statement's done, y'all. Oh, yeah. Now they broke for lunch real quick. Brian Steele is now acting up. Yo, he got Avengers with him. So the jury leaves. It's about to be lunch, but Brian Steele wants to object. He says, we'll be objecting to the two exhibits. So Brian Steele is going over. Brian Steele is really a godsend, bro. I think that nigga's. I'm telling you, that nigga's the truth. What I seen him do with Young Thug's case, that nigga is the motherfucking truth. So, he's good at all these objections. He's going to turn this shit into a shit show for the prosecutors. Hey, we're objecting to these exhibits. Again, remember, you got to object to preserve the record, okay? Like, you can see, look, objection, preserving record for appeal. Like, you'll see. To preserve an issue for appeal, a counsel must properly object to rulings or actions during the trial. So we all know what's going on. Cool. So Brian Steele objects to two exhibits. The judge says, in the future, I'd like to hear this the day before. So the judge is kind of like chirping back at Brian Steele to say, hey, you have all the evidence they're going to present. This is nothing new. Don't hit me like right before they about to do it, right? Tell me a day before. AUSA says, we only learned they objected. This is about an incident report about the hotel hallway, a broken vase. This report has an addendum. So it looked like maybe Brian Steele was right after all because they added something to the report. And Brian Steele says in the third paragraph, he writes, he did not want Mr. Combs to see Cassie out in the front. He talks about a co-worker. And by the way, this is where a lot of trials are won, chat. The trials are won with these motions. That's why people think YNW Melly has a chance on retrial. Because if they had been sticklers to file the motions and do the pretrial shit to make sure certain stuff can't get brought into court, it's a different case that the jury will hear, and that might go your way. Brian Steele ain't gonna let nothing pass by him. And that's gonna help increase the chance that Diddy beats this. So you see Brian Steele. Yo, hey, in the third paragraph, he writes that he didn't want Combs to see Cassie out in the front. He talks about a co-worker at ADEY. Mr. Combs is about to yell. This is speculation. We can't let speculation into court. Good observation and good point to raise. Okay? They're now back. Now back. Before we get to that, I didn't want to play. There's somebody in court.
For the opening.
There is someone in court. Lauren Crime's got somebody there. They did step out and give a little bit of audio, and you're going to see the madness outside the court. This is, I believe, the Thurgood Marshall Court in Manhattan. And, yeah, this is the streets are blocked off, but it's probably madness. Let's hear from Elizabeth Milner.
Inside that courtroom, just because of just how crazy it is. I mean, you can just see the lines just going all the way back with media. It's going all the way back just with the public, just so some people could either, one, watch the trial, get a glimpse of Diddy's family members coming in and outside of the courtroom, and even as well as see as his attorneys, whose members include Brian Steele, Mark Agnifilo, Mark Garagos playing in kind of that defensive advisory type of role. So it's crazy out here, especially, you know, it's Diddy, it's high profile celebrities, it's salacious allegations. Then on top of that, he's facing a lot of time behind bars. So you can understand why so many people of the public wanted to be here and wanted to get here super early so that way they could attend. I even heard somebody was standing in line and was auctioning off how much that they would give to somebody else in line for up to $500, $600. So that's just a lot of people here. Now, as far as who was inside the courtroom today, still is a lot of famous face, or well, let me not say famous faces, but a lot of people that we are definitely familiar with here at Law and Crime. You have Mark Garagos in the courtroom, Karen Agnifilo, who is the wife of Mark Agnifilo, who's also representing Luigi as well too. You had Little Rod inside the courtroom today, and he's one who had filed one of the many civil.
Oh, Little Rod is there. Okay. We don't know if he's a witness. From what we're kind of finding out, it don't seem like it, but he's there.
Claims against Diddy as well too. He came in probably, I would say, maybe a little like 8:30ish, kind of came in with the sunglasses, 2 chains on, as well as his attorney was inside that courtroom as well too. You have all of Diddy's children, with the exception of his youngest daughter, Love, were inside that courtroom. So that includes Quincy Brown, Justin Combs, Christian Combs, Delilah Combs, Chance Combs, Jesse Combs. Chance's mother was inside that courtroom. Diddy's mother was inside that courtroom. The daughter of Diddy's youngest daughter was inside that courtroom, and then you have the twins' caregiver, who is also.
Yo, what's up with this nigga right here? His waves low key kind of spinning though. Look at. Look at this nigga. Wait, the daughter of Diddy's youngest daughter has a daughter? What the fuck?
His daughter was inside that courtroom. Diddy's mother was inside that courtroom. The daughter of Diddy's youngest daughter was inside that.
The daughter. Okay, that got to be a Freudian slip, because Diddy's youngest daughter is Baby Love, and she's like 2. How the hell? She can't have a daughter. I think it means the mother of Diddy's youngest daughter. That's what they probably mean. The mother. That's probably a mistake. Look at this nigga right here, though.
That courtroom, and then you have the twins' caregiver, who is also best friends with Kim Porter as well too. So
my boy.
A lot of people were inside that courtroom as well for just opening statements, just to get this jury selected, because it went down from 43 to 18 today. And so a lot of people were inside that courtroom. It was body to body. And what can you expect? It's Diddy's first day of trial. So this was, just a little bit of what we were expecting today. But it's crazy out here.
And I will encourage everybody to check out what you're posting on X, Twitter. Because earlier today you actually posted that you saw Rodney Little Rod Jones, one of the first people to sue Sean Combs. He was outside the courthouse. We were always expecting who would end up showing up during the course of this trial. Talk to us about the jury. Who is this jury? What can you tell about how they're
we need a racial breakdown, gender breakdown. Let's hear this.
Reacting so far to opening statements? I mean, NBC has reported you have one juror who's a 69-year-old male, another juror who's a 31-year-old male, another one 51-year-old male. You have a 42-year-old female, and they have different numbers to them. But what are you determining based on the jury? What's the makeup, and How are they positioning? How are they reacting to the opening statement so far?
Yeah, well, kind of a hard question to answer, I should say, just because of where I was sitting inside the gallery. It was really hard to kind of see.
By the way, we got a poll going on King Academics right now. We have 15,000 strong just on one page. And the question is Diddy cooked? And 5,600 votes on the King Academics YouTube page. 65% of people are saying, man, this nigga's cooked. I think we're going to do daily polls on this. If you guys change your minds, definitely vote whatever way you might feel about this, right?
Every single one of their faces when both sides were presenting opening statements. But what I did see from being inside that gallery was some people jotting notes, some people just very much intently listening to both Emily Johnson for the prosecution as well as Tony Garagos for the defense. But as far as the makeup goes, I kind of just took their jury numbers and compared them to the notes that I took last week when I was here for jury selection. You have one who's a scientist, one whose brother is a security guard. He knew Diddy was arrested but didn't know the charges. You have one person who's part of a union job. He works for the Department of Corrections. Another person who is now retired but previously used to work at Verizon.
Get a poll going on in the Academy chat as well, okay?
Another person who
got 6K strong over there.
Friend is a detective, son is a security guard. But, you know, as far as the defense was kind of making their objections today as far as jury selection goes, and, you know, just kind of the objections they made that, you know, the government was striking 7 black jurors, that type of thing. There were still black jurors that are going to be serving on this panel who are going to be making making the decisions going into those deliberations. So from what I saw of the jury makeup as a whole, it really was a diverse group.
Who's this nigga right here?
Of men and women of all different.
He said P. Diddy Combs is an innocent man. Yo, I don't know why they always do videos like this. They got to have some security to push these niggas out of the way.
Different ages, all different walks of life as well, too.
He said the only thing Diddy's guilty of.
So I'm going to, we hear some commentary.
He said the only thing he's guilty of is being a black man. Hilarious.
Guilty of.
So I'm going to.
It really was a diverse group.
Okay, now I'm focusing on her. She said it is a diverse group. We're going to get the full breakdown, ethnic breakdown, age breakdown, and of course, male and female. We'll get it probably from somewhere else.
Men and women of all different ages, all different walks of life as well, too.
So I'm going to, we hear some commentary in the back right there. Obviously, I think there's going to be a lot of commentary when it comes to this case. But Elizabeth, you know, and by the way, just to reiterate something that you mentioned before, the first argument we heard from the defense today was saying that the prosecution, they raised what's called a Batson challenge to their preemptory challenges, saying you're striking jurors based on race, which is improper. The judge didn't side with it. They got a jury selected. Talk about opening statements. I want to start with the prosecution. Emily Johnson, what was the main theme of today? And did you learn something new?
We're going to get this update. And by the way, they did come back for lunch, so we do have some more updates. But we just want to get through this because, again, this person was in court. We can get some actual information about what happened in court. And then we'll slide right over there to the update about what happened, which is here, okay? I think we're probably going to see, they're going to call the first witness as we're going to see here. But we're going to go get to that in a second. Let me go here.
As, you know, alleged victim number 1, but the government came out and just automatically just named her. You know, they talked about the incident where Diddy found out Cassie was seeing another man and that Diddy took his gun and his bodyguard, and Diddy threatened to allegedly kill this man that Cassie was with.
Kushagar, thank you for watching. You see you're watching from India with love. Send my love to you as well.
You know.
Great tasting Vibations Cannabis and Electrolyte Drink Mix gives you advanced hydration, fast acting, made with full spectrum cannabis oil and electrolytes. You get the energy and focus vibe you're looking for. Vibations, advanced hydration for your best day. Available for focus and energy with caffeine or THCV. Click the Learn More button below to find Vibations at a dispensary near you.
Johnson talked about how he had beat Cassie so brutally that he also had to take control of her. He kept videos of Cassie sleeping with escorts and threatened to use them against her. These are the types of things we had already known and were already kind of painted out inside those indictments that the government had written up and that type of sort. You know, Diddy referring himself as a king, which is kind of ironic because he has a giant king crown on the back of his neck. You know, Emily Johnson spoke about the defendant using his inner circle to manipulate women that for a while.
Now, I don't think they could bring up the fact of Diddy's tattoos. That was a big thing about Tory Lanez. Like Tory Lanez has an AK-47 tattooed right here. And you ever seen Tory? Look, pause. Tory Lanez shirtless. And this is a tattoo right here. What was said is that if Tory took the stand, it could be brought into to court. But if he didn't take the stand, they couldn't bring up this in the trial, and they never brought it up. But if he did take the stand, they could have asked him about it. And obviously he didn't take the stand. But, you know, it just goes to show, like, if someone has a certain tattoo, apparently we're now realizing that these freak-offs were called Wild King Nights. So they're also kind of throwing out this thing to say Diddy has this king, like this king mentality, like he's this king of everybody. He also has a tattoo or some type of thing on the back of his neck that kind of, you know, doubles down on that type of theory. I don't believe that they're going to be allowed to use that as something to help make their case. Okay? By the way, there's still a question, will Diddy take the stand? There's a lot of questions about that. We got to consider that in the sense of if Diddy doesn't take the stand to explain some of these things that could be like, okay, either way, there's going to be a mountain of not only evidence, but a mountain narrative that Diddy is this freak or creep. And I think there's a possibility that Diddy has to take the stand to just explain himself and say, hey, yeah, I'm not going to lie, I'm a wild boy. Yeah, I'm a freaky ass nigga, but I'm a freaky ass consensual sex ass nigga. And I helped all these people out and they all tried to get their money up off me, and then they came with allegations. So we're going to see if he takes a stand. Let's keep listening to this.
While he watched, how his bodyguards kind of played,
Jill, thank you for the gifted memberships.
as well as employees kind of played a role into this alleged RICO conspiracy as well too, you know, and she made it a point to say this case is not about a celebrity's private sex preferences, because that was something that the defense definitely kind of chalked it up to being, just, you know, that he lived an alternative lifestyle, that type of sort, and we'll talk about that more in a second. You know, while there has been a lot of reports about victim 3 and where her whereabouts are or anything like that, the defense didn't talk about alleged victim number 3. Instead, they kept it pretty short and to the point. They talked about Cassie, they talked about Jane, who we presume to be the other alleged victim. In this case, the government was talking about, you know, the freak-offs being also named Wild King Night, something that we had also known about, as well as even just simply as, you know, hotel nights as well, too. Allegations of flying escorts across state lines, out of the country, into the country, that type of thing, that Diddy had demands to for the staff to set up his rooms in advance, lighting, lube, cash for escorts, drugs for both Diddy and the women that were participating in these types of events. You know, women had to dress in lingerie, had to wear white nails, tall heels, something that Cassie had pointed out in her civil lawsuit that was later settled. You know, talking about the drug use. Then they went into kind of, you know, the allegations specifically geared towards Cassie and just how, you know, the defendant had met Cassie. They had a 17-year age difference. Cassie was initially given a 10-album deal, and obviously that never happened as far as putting out a whole bunch of different albums and that type of sort. You know, and so these were types of things that we had already known about. I think some of the more interesting points also go to Jane, you know, as far as the other alleged victim. She was a single mom. She met Diddy around 2020 when Diddy was single, but when Jane was single, but Diddy was seeing other people. You know, Diddy introduced Jane to the freak-offs, and she had tried one just to.
We want to figure out who Jane is. I'm trying to do some research here to figure out who Jane Doe is.
Kind of make him happy, and then just kind of kept going into this repetitive cycle of doing these freak-offs, wild hotel nights, that type of sort, just to kind of appease him, that Jane didn't want to do these freak-offs, and that she had tried at even one point to hire men on her own that worked in the porn industry so she could pick the men. Diddy made her, these escorts not wear condoms when they, allegedly participated in these types of activities. So these were just kind of the big things that were pointed out as far as the government. And Jesse, do you want?
By the way, I'm getting some information here. Jane is definitely not Young Miami. From information I'm getting from people who have some knowledge about their relationship, they said Diddy and Young Miami met in 2021 at her former manager's birthday party. So this idea that they've known each other for 5 years is not correct. That would be about like 4 or 3 years before. And before then, Young Miami was with Southside. So supposedly it's not Young Miami. Supposedly.
Want me to go into the defense? Because the defense was pretty interesting as well, too.
Before you go into the defense, as I was reading about the reporting today, it was the first confirmation that Cassandra Ventura is victim one in this case. We always guessed it. We always surmised it. Now we have a definitive answer. And by the way, I think it was either the prosecution or the defense who mentioned that she's going to probably testify this week as we wonder who the first witnesses are going to be. And also this reference to Mia, who is Sean Combs' personal assistant, that is maybe going to provide some important testimony in this case. Now, before we go to the defense, real quick, as though you're looking at all these people that are behind you right now, Elizabeth, are these all reporters? Are these all fans? Are these all people who are supporting Sean Combs, who are not supporting Sean Combs? Are these just interested spectators? I'm trying to get a sense of the people that are walking behind you right now.
It's madness out there.
Yeah, so obviously I was trying not to pay attention so much because it's really so many people, but it's really just kind of a